Got the coffee brewing, and you know what that means? Today's Western Pacific weather update. Currently the 23rd of May 2012. We are watching a tropical storm, Sanvu, off towards the northwest away from Guam now, but good news, doesn't look like it's going to be affecting any other area. This area is going to be strengthening slightly, but then easing off on its intensity as we go into the latter part of the week due to a trough of low pressure coming off the east coast of Japan. And this can be easily seen on the red satellite imagery here. You do see that squall line of all this cloud cover actually running across Iwoto here, pushing off towards the east. And what this is going to do, it's kind of act like a boundary with the system and pushing off towards the north and then eventually towards the northeast. And if we look at the model outlook, it does look like all the models are in very fair agreement of that churning of this storm before it goes extratropical and quickly rushes off towards the northeast. Now, one thing I also do want to note is that JWC, or the Joint Typhoon Warning, has this thing, or this system becoming a typhoon, expecting upwards of a max about 70 to 75 knots. 64 knots would be about the max intensity of a typhoon, but if you look, most of the models actually keep it relatively weaker. Just barely a very, very weak typhoon. I actually do think that if it does make typhoon status, it will be for a short period of time. JMA, that's the Japan Meteorological Agency, is also going with that idea before they expected here to turn off towards the northeast on the 25th, going into the 26th, maxing out at about 55, gusting upwards of 80 knots. So the gusts will be at typhoon status, but the max sustained winds will not be, and actually I do think that a lot of the max winds will be going away from the center of circulation and out towards about some of these outer rain bands as it does begin to go extratropical here by the latter part of the week. As it does follow the overall background flow, kind of shown here on the streamline analysis, moving off towards the north and then towards the northeast, following that area low pressure that's rushing off towards the northeast. So anybody here in Japan that's a little worried about this because its current direction is in this direction, not to worry so much. It does look like it's going to move off. But any surfers along the coastline, we will be seeing some rough seas throughout the remainder of the week. Meanwhile, we are also watching an area over China, actually, and more rainfall, sadly enough, is going to be expected here in the Yangtze River, especially right around central China, where you have been seeing a copious amount of rainfall. And about the past month, there's been upwards of 60 deaths reported due to these heavy rain from the rainy season stationary boundary. And this is actually just a look at the midweek Westpac tropical update from Michael here at WesternPacificWeather.com. And he does point out very clearly the Mayu Baroclinic front here is actually called the Bayou up in Japan, but we'll just call it the rainy season boundary, just for short, for everybody kind of gets an idea of what this is. And there's also another front developing here over central China, and that's expected to bring some more rainfall as well. And if we actually just look at the GFS model outlook, you can see that band pushing across the Yangtze River Basin. And that could bring an additional upwards about 50 to 100 millimeters going through the next 24 to 48 hours. Thus, more rainfall, and it is not needed whatsoever here. But also, while we're looking at this, check out our 992 millibar low here, pushing off towards the north and eventually towards the northeast. That is Tropic Storm Sanvu. But as you can see here, it really starts getting stretched off towards the north and then stretched down towards the south going through the weekend. That's due to that cold frontal boundary really just pushing on the system and strongly affecting it. And then as we watch, it really gets sheared off going into next week and quickly rushes off towards the northeast. And lastly, take a look into the Philippines and also Indochina, because the southwest monsoon is kicking up here, and this is bringing a copious amount of rainfall. Actually, plenty of reports coming out of the southern Philippines stating actually strong thunderstorms the last several days here. And actually, if you look here into the central Philippines, right around Visayas, you see 93 millimeters in just the past 24 hours, a huge amount of rain. This is going to be causing the threat of some flash floods and also landslides, and even over towards Thailand's upwards of 52 millimeters in the past 24 hours, and even down towards Indonesia. You're not quite out of the woods yet. We're seeing some of these very heavy rain reports above 50 millimeters across much of the region here. And also take a look up here towards the north, because these are the rain reports that I was just talking about a second ago. In central China, in Chongqing, you're actually seeing upwards 70 millimeters, 69.2 millimeters in the last 24 hours of this heavy rainfall that is continuing to plague much of the area across the region. And if we just take a quick look here at the Southeast Asia, actually you do see a lot of these storms blowing up already going into your afternoon, the evening hours, especially here in towards Indochina and also in the Philippines. That sea breeze starts to kick in, that flow coming in from the east and from the west, both directions, and you really start to see them clash right in the middle, and that's why you always get those afternoon and evening thunderstorms almost daily there in Luzon and even over towards the Malaysian Peninsula. Actually starting to see it kind of flare up there right in the center of the peninsula. It's actually going on about noon at the time of this update, so if you saw this a few hours from now, these would look like popcorn across much of that area. That's all for right now, everybody. Thanks again for watching here at westernpacificweather.com. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, as always, please post them in the comment box below. And also, do let me know what you think about this video editing here for our update today. It's a little bit different, but just felt like trying it out. All right. Have a great day. Bye. This is not even coffee. This is blueberry juice. Blueberry juice. It's Japan. Blueberry juice. Yeah.